Okay, welcome to the weekly shir of the Zer Shimshon, and it is Tes Adar Aleph. There's no Sheni this year, and it's Yom Chamishi Ba'erev. So we're gonna start the Megilas Esther actually, and not the Parshas Hashavua, which is Parshas Zachor. May we hear good news that the evil Haman in their times is been destroyed, and his entire region has been destroyed. Okay, B'ezras Hashem. Anyway, this is a shtickle from a Megilas Esther. I won't be able to read the whole thing because it's too long, but there's a very important part that I wanted to share with everybody. It's Tes Vavin, if you don't want to look in the Zer Shimshon and Megilas Esther. He does have on the Chamesh Megillas, by the way, okay, so besides the Parshias. Now, it says the Megillah in the Parakama and Dav Sayin, Omid Beis says, Omar Rabba, Mechayev Inish Levisume Bepuria Adaloyada, Bein Baruch Mordechai La'oror Haman. Now, I know this is a controversial piece with the ladies and even some men, but the Gemara says very strongly that we're chayiv. Now, why? Why is it so important to overdrink? Let's overdrink wine. By the way, the Gematria Baruch is 228. Mordechai is 274. Okay? And that adds up to 502. Oror is 407, and Haman is 95. So that adds up to 502. They're the same gematrias. Okay. Next, so we'll explain a little better. What do we have to drink so much for? What's the shy? On none of the other holidays you have to drink. I tied it to my my chavrusa today. Maybe some people after 4 koisais and Pesach, he tied we should celebrate Purim on Pesach. And I said, okay, well, maybe some people after Arba koisais of real wine, they're going to get drunk anyway. So, but anyway, but you get to eat in the meantime. Anyway, but this is not shaykh tarde. This drasha says, what's the shaykhis of shtiyas harbi with the nes of Purim? Ad shehuter lanu lishtois yoser midai. Normally, this isn't Jewish. Okay, we're just not drunks. Okay, mitzvah namihu, like it says, the Gemara says chayev inish levisume. Okay, v'haloi ein ze min hachamim lahamshich atzmam acher shtiyas yain yoser midai. It's not derech for the chachamim to do that. Ve'yuvan ba'ameh shekasav al-shech in Parshas Chukas. It says in Bamidbar, Ki ha-Torah nimshalis lefamim la-lechem. It's sometimes the Torah is compared to as a mashal to 3 things. Okay, 3 things. One is lechem. One is bread. The Chesiv says l'chu lachmu belachmi. It's a pasuk in Mishlei. But nimshalis lamayim is also compared to water, which is in Yeshayahu. Hoi kol tzamei l'chu lamayim. But nimshalis liyayin, also to wine. The Chesiv, it says in Shir Shirim, everybody should know this pasuk, ki toivim daidecho miyayin. The hainu, pe'am la'achila, pe'am l'shtiya. So sometimes Torah is compared to eating and sometimes compared to drinking. Kasav Sham, the Alshech writes over there, Ki Torah shebechsav nimshalis le'achila. That's the Iker HaMazon. V'haTorah sheba'al peh nimshalis l'shtiya. V'aisha hashtiya mivashelis misakenis al-maichel. So it's the Gemara even says that drinking after you eat helps you digest the food better. Ukeshem sheloi toyo la'adam ha'achila b'loi shtiya kein loi tiskain lanu ha'toira shebechsav b'li toira sheba'al peh. So we can't really understand the Torah shebechsav without the Torah sheba'al peh. So it really needed to help us digest it, literally. It helps us to sweeten up and explain the Torah Shebechsav. That's the whole Gemara, right? What does it say? This pasuk, what does that mean? Okay, because it doesn't make any sense. Nimsa shatayra ba'apeh nimsheles lamayim ulayayin. So the Torah Sheba'apeh is compared to water and wine. Shahalaches psukais v'ha'hayrois pshutais kol ha'olam tzichem mehem. So halachas, they're set, and the psakim that are given to us, everybody needs, right? But mishum hachi nimshul lamayim shahakol tzratzi macharem. That's why it's compared to water, because everybody needs it. Everybody's running after it. We have to, and if you have any shilas, you go ask the Rav and say, give me a psak. Uksiv hay kol tzami lechul lamayim. Anybody who's thirsty goes run after the water. V'chelek ha'iyun. But the deeper parts of the Torah, the lav kol meicha yachalim mizbaldo, and not every brain can bear this kind of learning. That's nimshal yayin. The chesiv tzerishim kitayim dodecha yayin. Davke le'adoidi meima mefal poliv. Excuse me. In Perek Tes the Shabbos, in Pei Ches, we say Amrinin mikan maida rabel raisa. Okay, from here we see a big announcement for the Torah. V'afal pi shekain hador kiblu b'mei Achashverosh. Well, not only that, at the days of Achashverosh, they went back and received it b'ratzayin, b'ahava. V'kasha v'hakvar amru nasa v'nishma ma'at hayitzarch l'kviyah. What do they have to be forced to accept the Torah for? If they already said nasa v'nishma, we'll do it when we'll listen. That's like they said the Gemara says, who told them my secrets of my angels? Okay, because that's what the angels do. They do it, and then they understand it. Okay. There's a teretz in the Tanchuma in Parshas Toldos and Parshas and Noach. In Toldos Nun Ches, excuse me, not Noach. Shehakfiya haisa al Torah Sheba'apeh. So the Tanchuma says that the forcing of the mountain over the Jews, kagigis, like a har kagigis, like a barrel, was because of the Torah Sheba'apeh. Sheyesh bo dikduke mitzvahs, kalis v'chamures, because there's a lot of details, and easy and difficult, very fine differences between different halachas. V'hi azza kemavis kasha kishaol. It's a pasuk, right? It's difficult like death, and difficult like the going into the grave. She'ein loimed oisa elomisha ohev lakadosh baruch hu b'chol liboy. The person that's learning Torah Sheba'apeh is somebody who really loves Hashem b'chol nafshei b'chol ma'odai. That's okay, and that's a good thing to remember, that those people learning the Gemara really love Hashem. Ukishe'omu nasa v'nishma haya ala Torah shebechsav she'ein igia sar v'hi me'at. So he says, the Tanchuma, that the nasa v'nishma was only on the Torah shebechsav because it's easy and it's not very. You don't have to be a foul pill. You don't have to go into it in depths. Im kain. So in the days of Achashverosh, they received it with their own willingness, love. Even the Torah Sheba'apeh, which is compared to drinking. So you have to drink a lot in order to indicate that there's no end to the details of the Seifrim, which are the Rabbanim Shehem b'Torah Sheba'apeh, that are in the Torah Sheba'apeh. As you see how many Sforim are written on just Rashi alone. They said they don't want the person to drink medium. Okay, you got to go into it. Beli sheer, without an end. Just so make sure that they don't receive the Torah Sheba'al Peh with a measure and a boundaries. Okay, you got to go into it full head. So sometimes wine makes you smarter, and sometimes it mixes up your mind. It depends. So sometimes the pilpul, as anybody who's learned B'Shainim or Achronim can tell you, that sometimes it helps and sometimes it mixes you up more. Asks more questions. The Gemara in Metzia says, according to his sharpness, he became mixed up. Inami chorif umakshehu hepech hamasin u'amasik. So the other thing is that if you're very sharp and you can penetrate things very quickly, so that's the opposite of being slow in understanding and coming to conclusions. The Asi Shaper the Nakat Rabba v'Lashon B'Sumi. That's why Rabba says in the Gemara that Chayav Adam Levisumi. He's got to make sure that he sweetens it up. Lir Moisha Torah Sheba'al Peh Hi HaMevasemes Mefareshes HaTorah Shebechsav. Okay, so one more little piece. And Hai de Nakat Bein Or Haman LeBarach Mordechai. The Fishal Yedei Pilpul. Like we find Talmud Echad. Rabbi Meir. There was one Talmud to Rabbi Meir that had Shahaya Yodela Tyrus Asheretz Bekuf Nun Pami. He could retire the Sheretz 150 times. Gidamrina Be'erevin, the Gemara in Erevin. But Oid Yesh Leimar Aloshin Ad the Loyada Bein Baruch Mordechai La Or Haman. The Armenian Hasam the Megilas says La Sais Beratzain Ish Keratzain Ish Ve'ish La Sais Keratzain Mordechai VeHaman. Mordechai ish Yehudi hu haya Haman ish tsar ve'ayiv. Upirshu ha'meforshim kiratzayin Mordechai shelo yi'ansu es Yisrael l'shtois yayin nesech. He wasn't going to force the Jews to drink yayin nesech. Uratzayin Haman gam kein shelo yi'ansu, that he wouldn't force them either. The fisha ha'aise ba'aines eino roi li'ansham li'anesh, because you get forced to do something you're not fitting to get punished so badly. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop here today because I know the time is short and it's going to be Erev Shabbos and it's Parsha Zachar. We should soon see the Megilas Amalek B'Meheiro V'Yameinu, and everybody have a wonderful Shabbos and a wonderful Purim. Kol Tov Zaygiben. Don't forget to drink Ad de Lo Yada.